fascinating to hear and see such a large group of students who are interested in getting involved. When Stephanie asked me to come out and speak, I spent some time thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about today. And when I was thinking about that, I spent some time thinking about what people usually say to me about getting involved. And a lot of the times it's excuses, like I don't have the time, or it's, lethargy. It's like I can't make a difference, I can't do anything. So I started making some notes, and I came up with a list, and I would like to start by sharing that list with you. Shutting down polluting garbage-burning incinerators in New York. Altering the Q27 bus route so that it stops on the QCC campus. Keeping TAP financial aid programs strong and fully funded. Bringing a polling site to Purchase College so that students have an easier time voting on election day. Closing the Staten Island dump. Passing the bottle bill and the bigger better bottle bill, the two most comprehensive pieces of recycling legislation in New York State's history. And registering more than 1 million college students to vote. This list and these victories, both large and small, have something important in common. They were all achieved because of students like you. They are just some of a long list of things that students working with NYPIRG have accomplished. Students like you are the reason that change happens. If you take a look at the social movements of the 60s and the 70s, whether it's the civil rights movement, or the women's rights movement, the war against the Vietnam campaign, or the environmental movement, students were at the heart of all of them. Students like you had the energy, the enthusiasm, and the sheer will to demand change, to demand something better for them and for our communities. And it was from this energy in the 60s and 70s with students that helped students to create NYPIRG. To increase their power, students from across New York State joined together to form an organization that would focus on and fight for issues that students cared about. They hired their own professional staff who would not only work full-time to fight for affordable, quality higher education, environmental protection, student and consumer rights, and public health issues, but who would also teach and train students to be their own advocates, to learn public speaking, event planning, campaign strategy, and more. Today, NYPIRG has 20 campuses, chapters across New York State, and our board of directors is still comprised solely of students who decide what issues we work on. I mentioned before that I was very excited to come and speak today, and that's because not long ago, I was in your shoes. I got involved with NYPIRG when I was a student at Hunter College. I was a freshman, and I knew that I wanted to get involved with something. I cared about issues, I cared about the environment, I cared about homelessness, but I just wasn't sure how to go about doing something. Then one day I was sitting in a biology class, and a representative from NYPIRG came in to speak. Some of that might sound familiar to some of you. And they filled out a little card, and I got a phone call to come to a meeting just like this one. And I admit I had no idea what to expect. What the heck was this NYPIRG thing? Anyway, I could barely pronounce the name. What were you guys all about? But I did come, and I was so glad that I did, because over the next year, I helped bring a bottle and can recycling program to my campus. I registered students to vote. I traveled to Albany to meet with my legislator to fight against a proposed tuition increase, and I attended a statewide student action conference with hundreds of students from across the state. And most importantly, I felt empowered that I could make a difference. We didn't win on everything we were fighting for that year. For example, the tuition still went up, but less than originally proposed. But I was out there and I was doing something. And a lot of that feeling of empowerment I had was because I wasn't out there fighting alone. I believe very strongly that one person can make a difference, but I think that 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people can do even more. Working with NYPIRG allows you to make your contribution, but know that the success or the failure of a campaign does not rest solely upon you. Students at QCC, together with students from across is towards, we hope, victory. And this is especially important because we have tough battles we have to fight against formidable opponents with money and power. Oil companies, tobacco companies, HMOs, just to name a few. And these special interest groups have professional lobbyists, can afford to wine and dine our elected officials, and all in all can be very intimidating to go up against. But often our victories are the result of multi-year campaigns against these groups. In fact, all of the victories that I mentioned from the beginning, from closing the incinerators in the landfill to registering that many students to vote, were the results of years of working and fighting. And occasionally a victory comes easy. We wish it can happen more often, because most often it only comes after we are out there fighting every day, not backing down and coming back stronger when we suffer a setback. Sometimes we win in small steps. Sometimes you might read about a victory on an issue that you worked on after you graduated. And why are we effective? Is we may not have tons of money, but we have energy, we have tenacity, we have experience, and we have hope. We don't back down. And if you're still asking yourself at this point, why should I get involved? I want to ask you, can you afford not to? How many here can afford to have your tuition go up more and your financial aid cut? Can afford another fare hike or further reductions in our mass transit service? Can afford to buy an expensive filter if our drinking water becomes contaminated? And who here wants to see New York State reduce its energy consumption and its dependence on foreign oil, to make sure toxic waste sites and brownfields are cleaned up, and to address the problems of homelessness? How many want to make sure that our elected officials are representing our interests? With the state and financial crisis and everything else that's going on right now, it's more important than ever that we make our voices heard. If we don't stand up for the things that we care about, nobody else is going to. I want to thank you again for having me come out today. Again, it's so inspiring to see a group like this. And I encourage everyone here to get involved. Take a minute, sign up for the projects that you're interested in, and whether you volunteer for 1 hour or 100, the important thing is that you are making a contribution and you're making a difference. Thank you again so much for allowing me to speak, and I wish everyone luck.